Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Here you get relevant and timely content you won't find anywhere else. You can learn more by going to mustreadalaska.com, and this show can be found on YouTube, Facebook, X, and your favorite podcast site. Let's talk truth about politics, the economy, and all things Alaska. Now, the host of the show, former state legislator, combat veteran, small business owner, and all-around great guy, Ben Carpenter.
Welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show, friends. I'm Ben Carpenter, your host and guide on a journey of discovery of truth and independent-minded thinking. Must Read Alaska exists because discovering the truth is hard. It calls upon us to be relentless in defense of common sense, our faith in God, and the exceptional values enshrined in our Constitution. Freedom is not free. It is not for the timid. It was not secured by the weak of heart or mind. Maintaining freedom requires every one of us to be alert to daily encroachments on our liberties and on the grand deceptions of those seeking power and control over others. Every generation must pledge our lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, and we must never take our freedom for granted. Every generation must pledge their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, and we must never take our freedom for granted. We are not anti-government. We are pro-government, of the people, by the people, and for the people. And today we are joined by Sarah Spaulding, headmaster at Thomas More Classical School, which is a new school, a new K-6 school that's opening in Anchorage in 2026. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Ben.
Well, I don't remember exactly how I heard about the Thomas More School, but I've been very interested in learning more about it, and I'm sure that others in Alaska are going to be interested as well. Can you please introduce yourself to us? Tell us what your background is and how you've made it to Alaska.
Sure. A lot of people ask me, if I'm from Alaska, and I'm not. But what brought me to Alaska was Alaska. We visited several years ago, and my husband said, "This is the place where we're supposed to be. God's going to call us here someday." And so we waited, we prayed. And in the meantime, I was involved with Hillsdale K-12 schools in Ohio. I had been a founding faculty member in Toledo, Ohio, at a school there, and then the founding principal of a school in Columbus, Ohio. And things were going great. But it seemed as though my time at Columbus was ending, and the Lord opened the door for us to get to Alaska per our calling several years ago. So here we are.
Well, welcome to the state.
Thanks. You love it.
Good. I do too. My wife and I grew up here, and then I served in the military a number of years out. And no matter where we moved around the states with the military, Alaska was always home. That was always where we compared. Both my wife and I grew up here. So anyway,
That is fantastic.
This is not about me. Tell us more about Thomas More Classical School. What's the mission here? What's the vision?
The idea behind our classical school is that we're going to improve hearts and train minds. Our mission forms students in goodness, truth, and beauty through a well-rounded, traditional education rooted in the Western tradition. We hope to build a new generation of Alaskans that are educated in the liberal arts and sciences. That's the 7 classical liberal arts with instruction in moral virtue and civic virtue so that they can be faithful Alaskans, free Alaskans, courageous Alaskans. That's the mission. That's the heart behind it. That's the mission behind all of the Hillsdale K-12 family of schools. We improve minds and train hearts, or improve hearts, train minds. Either way, that's the mission and the vision, and we're going to bring that to Anchorage.
Okay. How do you think that this type of schooling stands out or is different or is differentiated from just a traditional or regular public school?
Right. So there's 3 major differences, and it's all influenced by the umbrella of philosophy, right? So there's 3 general philosophies in education. One would be classical, I would assert. Another would be a progressive model of education, and one would be a critical model of education. And so we're classical model. And so there's three differentiators there. The first one is culture. The ends of our school is what kind of person your child will become. And we want them to become a virtuous person. We study human nature. We study our relationship to human nature, natural law, natural rights, virtue standards that are objective and real of truth, goodness, and beauty. And so that's the first differentiator for culture. Secondly, it's our curriculum. You know, the other end of our education, besides what kind of person your child will become, is what do you want your child to know? And do you want them to know things in time and space and context that build upon one another and go deeper? Or do you want them to learn bits and pieces of factoids and sort of activistic sound bites? So we use the Hillsdale K-12 American Classical Education scope and sequence that is spiraled and integrated across content areas and then across grade levels so that at the end of the education, they know a whole contextualized bit of information and they can articulate what they know really, really well because they have been enculturated and trained and formed in knowledge. So that's the second differentiator. The third one is our pedagogy, teacher-led classrooms. We will have teachers who are the leaders in the classroom. They're the most important people in the building. We do not have student-led classrooms. We have teachers who lead, teachers who impart information, teachers who model virtue. There's no one-to-one technology in our classrooms. We're book-centric, language-rich, discussion-based pedagogy. These are tried and true methods. They're not new, they're not fancy, they're not fad-like, but they are rich and deep and good for children. Children who are in schools like this, and this is my experience in my years of being involved with these projects, is that they love coming to our schools. Their minds are engaged, their imaginations are engaged, and they get to learn. They're not sidetracked by busy classrooms, by having to come up with their own sets of rules, by having to teach each other. They're led by knowledgeable teachers, and that sets us apart from other models of education. But most certainly it's our ends. What kind of person and what do you want your child to know? Those are our ends. And we're going to get there here in Anchorage.
Very
it's exciting.
Good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the connection between Thomas More and the Hillsdale
Sure.
and post-secondary education. So what does Hillsdale do for Thomas More Classical, or what's the connection? What is that relationship?
Yeah, great question. So Hillsdale started their academy, Hillsdale Academy, as a flagship school in 1990. And that was a school that many of the professors from the college, they sent their children to, and then the people of the community in Hillsdale sent their children to Hillsdale Academy. So in 1990, they launched their flagship school and they created a guide. They wanted to have the best education using the best methods of the classical tradition at their school. And then in 2010, they expanded with the Barney Charter Initiative, and this was a means to get this guide into as many public charter schools as possible, just again for the same ends. What kind of person and what do you want them to know? And so since 2010, they've taken on over 25 member schools. These are schools who go through a rigorous vetting process, and that we apply to get their coaching and to license their program guide, their K-12 scope and sequence that gives us a complete education. So they do this at no cost to us. We're not a franchise. We're not paying them any money, and they don't pay us any money. Our funding comes from tuition, and our funding comes from donors who want this type of education to last for generations to come. But so the relationship between Hillsdale and the school is one of support, board coaching, leadership coaching, teacher coaching and training. They have a bevy of resources online for us to use, and then we license their scope and sequence. It's an amazing and beautiful relationship. They're extremely generous with us in serving us and supporting us in these efforts. But every school is unique to its community. This is a group of Alaskans who want this for Alaskans. And I just happen to want to be an Alaskan, so I moved here, and this is what I do. And so these are community schools built by people in Anchorage who want this for their children, and they want this for everybody else's children. And then Hillsdale comes alongside us and supports us with those other elements. And so it's a really beautiful relationship.
So talk to me a little bit about the, I was going to say clientele, but the students, the families that are going to be able to come. What size do you expect the school to be when you open up 2026? And where do you see the vision of this going in the future? What's the demand, I guess?
Yeah, I hope the demand is huge. We had a really excellent start with an information session this week. Some awesome families came out to check us out. I'd like to open with 118, 120 students. I can open bigger than that. We're going to open K-6. That's the best practice per the Hillsdale K-12 office. I'd love to have a couple sections of sixth grade so that when we add seventh grade, we've got a nice robust start to our upper school. The vision of the school is to be K-12 and have about 450 to 550 students in the K-12 full school. Who's our clientele? These are any family that wants to know what kind of children their child will become, and that they're going to know something at the end of their education. We're an interdenominational Christian organization. That means our board, myself, our teachers, we're all Christ followers. We all affirm the Nicene Creed, and we have a Christian foundation. However, our families don't have to affirm that. They don't get to opt out of any of the sort of Christian foundational points. But we're an apolitical institution. We want to teach children. And so it's for any family that wants their child to have a really great education and to be really virtuous children at the end of it. And so our goal is to have a really robust opening. Like I said, applications open October 1st, and so you can find those at our website at thomasmoreclassical.org. Those will open, and I hope to get a flood of interested Anchorage families.
I'm sure that the next question that would be on somebody's mind is, what's the tuition? Do you have tuition rates or that kind of information on the website now?
Yeah, great question. We're honing in on those numbers. Within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be really excited to share them. We're going to be real competitive with the local private schools here in Anchorage, and most likely come in slightly under all of them as far as tuition goes.
And I guess I want to just back up just a minute. You said that the schools, the initiative of this is coming from Alaskans, for people in Alaska who want to have this school. And I assume that means they have control. Hillsdale College or Hillsdale is a support, but not a controlling interest. And the funding of this is going to be all from local tuition and parents, paying their way. Does this mean that the school is not going to be a recipient of any federal or state monies?
That's correct. We're completely donor and tuition funded. We've decided to be free, free from state and federal entanglements that come with accepting those dollars. We're free from the weight of excessive standardized testing. I will do testing twice a year. We'll use the classical learning test in the fall and in the spring. But the excessive testing won't happen at our schools. We're going to be free from, the SEL psychological dogma that a lot of those dollars are tied to. And we'll be free to implement the program guide as it's written, as it's intended, in its whole unity of it. So we're not super interested in the entanglements of the state or the federal government.
One of the questions that you touched on just briefly was standardized testing. That seems to be very big within the bureaucracy of the public school system. People want to use the results of those standardized tests to justify one political position or demand of some group. how do you, what's the difference between the classical test that you referenced and a standardized test that the public school system uses? What's the difference?
Sure. So there's a couple types of testing, right? So we might talk about achievement testing. Those are your MAP test, your STAR test, maybe an Iowa test, and the classical learning test. These are tests that are designed to map out growth in a student. What do they know, and how have they progressed through a body of information? And these types of tests are used to help a teacher understand how to inform their lesson planning, right? How do I fill gaps in Johnny, and how do I challenge Timmy, because one is excelling and one needs a little bit of remediation. And it helps us to understand if a child is progressing at a standardized pace. These are excellent tools that helps teachers and administrators partner with parents to educate them. The rub is when the standardized testing goes beyond a tool to help the child. So there's a lot of states that require graduation tests, testing 3 or 4 times a day. Teachers' licenses are associated with the test scores. I experienced that in Ohio. So our position on testing is we have got a lot to do in the course of educating children K-12. And so we want to use the tools that help us do that and not have to be burdened by testing that is maybe political in nature, or even just trying to prove somebody's worth as a teacher. The standardized tests don't actually prove the teacher's worth. It helps us as a tool to see what needs to happen, what gaps needs to be filled, what challenges need to be given so that students can we raise the bar with the students. So I'm not a fan of standardized tests because they're sort of weaponized in schools, and they're tied to funds. And there's all sorts of things that happens when things are tied to funds, potential things that happen.
Yes. One of the challenges that the public school system in Alaska has been having is attracting and maintaining teachers, especially quality teachers. And I think this is something that's many states' public school systems are struggling with at this point. Hillsdale has sponsored a number of private schools throughout the nation, I think. Are they struggling to find qualified and capable teachers similar to the public school system? Are we just looking at a shortage of teachers nationwide, or what's the experience that Hillsdale related or related schools are experiencing?
Yes, that is a narrative I hear a lot, and even our families are asking me that question, and I can go off of what I have experienced as a leader in Columbus, and then as a teacher in Toledo. What I experienced in Columbus was teachers, many of whom had been in the public school for quite a while, sought me out. I had a quite an adventure weeding through applicants in Columbus because there is a group of people who love teaching. This is their gift. They have honed it. They want to hone it. They want to work in an environment, however, that is professional, that is meant to educate souls and minds and not necessarily advocate or be particularly political. And so this is my hope here in Anchorage, that there are professional teachers who are interested in a different kind of philosophy, in a classroom that is teacher-led, and in an atmosphere that is supported by a former teacher. I always think of myself as a teacher, as a former teacher, and and teacher coaching that enhances their ability to hone their craft and deliver what they need to deliver. So in my experience, yeah, you have to weed through applicants, but I think they're here. I think there are qualified men and women in Anchorage who have content knowledge, and they are gifted teachers. Um, I don't have to worry about certifications so much. I'm not opposed to teacher certifications, but I can also hire qualified people who have a content degree. I can hire a biologist who is adept at science and can also deliver material, and I don't have to worry about certifications through the state. And that opens up our hiring pool, right? So really what we're looking for is faithful, mission-focused men and women who have the ability to transfer knowledge and a love of children and a love of learning. Um, and I think they're here. They really do.
Do you have a process established, or one in the, maybe in the future
Mhm.
implemented, that is like a scholarship process? I can see that some folks are, going to be like, I would love to have my kids go to this, but I can't afford the additional tuition. So I'm just curious if this is something that the community has felt that they want to help, or is there a means or an avenue for being able to offer scholarships?
Sure. Yes, it's tuition assistance is part of our annual budget. Of course, we'd love to offer as much tuition assistance as our budget can afford. And so we would like to give as many people who need it based on their income uh, to get the assistance that we can afford. And so that's why we're developing our capital campaign. We'd like to have an endowed fund eventually so that we can give a really robust relief to parents who want this, and the tuition is just a bit out of reach. And again, our tuition is going to be really competitive, if not lower than all the private schools in Anchorage. And so that's going to help. That's a start. But it's going to come down to folks who see the value of our mission and they want to donate to the future of this mission alongside parents who are paying tuition and making the present day sacrifice for their kids. So on our website again, thomasmoreclassical.org, there's a donate page, and there's a way for those folks who may not have kids in the system right now, or maybe they're in the lower 48 and they happen on this and they're like, wow, that's awesome in Alaska. Um, we need those people as much as we need the families who want to come here and make that sacrifice and pay the tuition.
Very good. When do you expect to have the doors open, and how do people apply? Is it as simple as going to the website, or they need to stop by and do it in person?
It will be as simple as going to the website starting October 1st. And then I'll be able to, I can email the link to the application as well. There's a variety of ways I can get the application link to interested families. They can email info@moreclassical.org, or they can hop on that website. They can come to an information session. We'll have a couple of those coming up in October. And again, those are all posted on the website at thomasmoreclassical.org.
Very good. So October 2025 is when the applications can start being submitted. Information meetings are going to start in October of 25, which is just right around the corner.
Yes.
And then you've got some time to make a decision, if you're a parent, as to what you want to do for the following school year. When does a decision have to be made as to whether you're going to put your kid in Thomas More, like commit to it?
Sure. So our early season is October 1 through through January 15th. And so we'll review all the applications. You'll come and meet me. We'll do a headmaster interview with each family. And then we make admissions decisions, and those will roll out in mid to late February. And at that time, they will pay the enrollment fee to hold their spot. And so they have a certain amount of time then to sort of hold their spot, and they can decide if it's the right fit for them or not.
You had talked about information meetings. Are those going to be published on your website for people to go look at, to figure out where to go for those meetings?
Yes. Yep. They're all posted there under events. If you want to go to our admissions page and under events, right now we're hosting them at 2626 Abbott, because that's the location where we're going to have the school. And then I'll also be at Roundabout Books monthly. And so they can find that information on our website as well.
Okay. Give a plug for your website again, and if there's a phone number that people can call if they want more information.
Yes, please go to thomasmoreclassical.org. And then if you want to call, go ahead and call 907-615-8040. and you can talk to one of us here at the school.
Uh, a thought popped into my head as I was listening there. What kind of extracurricular, if any, is the school planning on having?
Sure. That's going to be determined by the school and populace, right? So I have an imaginary school right now in my head. So I need to see, how many kids we have, what we're sort of interested in. A lot of the individual sports are the first things we start with, cross country, things like that. Um, Certainly clubs, but in my experience, that comes from what the kids and the families are interested in. We do during a course of the day, we have co-curriculars, so music, art, PE is happening regularly. PE happens every day. So those things are already woven into the day, and then we'll figure out what activities our kids in our community are looking as those added.
Okay. You had given an address out, and I'm not in Anchorage. I recognize Abbott Road, but I don't know what the numbers, where that means. What kind of
Yeah,
structure have you found, building wise, to host the school?
yeah, we're in a fantastic location. We're where Unite Church meets as a church. So it used to be a school. So being new to Alaska, I'm learning so much about where we're at. So we're on the corner of Abbott and Lake Otis, and they're a gracious host to us. And so they've got classrooms ready to go. It's a wonderful location, easy to get to. We're real excited about that. Yeah.
Very good. There's a subject that I've been dealing with the public school system, and it has to do with parents. And I really strongly believe that some of the challenges that we're having in our public school system is kind of an abdication by parents of the responsibility to educate their kids. I would assume that parents who are going to be choosing to put their kids into Thomas More or classical and pay an additional tuition to whatever taxes they're paying to support the local school system, that they're more engaged. But does Thomas More require any sort of engagement or participation by parents?
Sure. Yeah, typically speaking, those folks who are missionally aligned and choose our school are involved parents. But it is true that most of these families will have dual incomes so that the tuition can uh, be paid. So we don't have any requirements as far as hours go, or additional dollars, or any fundraising time that they're going to have to do. We really want to do the job of educating the children, and we want to have the opportunity to come alongside parents in their greatest duty as parents to raise their children and educate them and to teach them the first principles of truth, goodness, and beauty. Um, but no, we don't have any extra requirements. There will be opportunities to volunteer, and certainly there are folks who want to get involved, but it's not going to be part of the requirements because we have found that that's just an extra burden on folks who are already sacrificing, who want something like this
Yeah.
to begin with.
All right. The website, in my mind, I was thinking about parents. What about teachers? If teachers are interested in participating, is there a link or a automatic process for them to contact you on the website, or do they just need to call you? Or how do teachers who want to teach there get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way for anyone who might, sort of be interested in admissions, advancement, some of those leadership roles, or even in some of the staff roles that I'll be filling, as well as faculty, their best move right now would be to sign up for our newsletter because I'm getting ready to drop job descriptions and open up some of those career portals. Those are not on the website just yet. So if you're interested in coming on board as a teammate, please sign up for our newsletter. There's information in that will be helpful to those folks.
Very good. Well, in the interest of time here, I think I'm just going to open it up for you. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you would like to close out and let parents know about or let teachers know about?
Wonderful. I just would really love to meet everybody. If you're in the Anchorage area and you have kids that can attend the school, and even if you don't, I'd love to see you at an information session. I find that building the relationship with the community really helps us have a great launch. And when you come to an information session, I do a presentation. You learn about the mission, the vision, and the model of classical education. There's a time to ask questions. You can see the curriculum. So I just really encourage people to hop on the website, find out when those information sessions are, and come meet me and see what and how Thomas More Classical School fits for you, whether it's in your volunteering time, talent, or treasure, or enrolling your kids. I just encourage you to come out and learn about it.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Sarah Spaulding, headmaster at Thomas More Classical, that will be opening up in the fall of 2026 in Anchorage, Alaska. I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us. Folks, if you have enjoyed this episode or found it informative, please go to the mustreadalaska.com website, click on the donate link, help us continue to bring informative and cutting edge information to you so that you can help make good decisions in your life. Until next time, Alaska, stay frosty out there.